It was last quarter of the game, and it was a one-on-one situation. I was here, he was here, go, collide. And when he tried to stop, his knee ended up going into my gut. My kidney broke and it was massive internal bleeding.
We're looking on the GPS, and while I'm scrolling through the GPS, I see Children's. It's Scottish Rite, so I'm like, okay, we're going there. They know about kids.
The local hospital there was about 20 minutes away, and Children's was 25 minutes away. We went ahead and just continued on down because that's where we wanted him to be. Once they did that CT scan and they realized that he'd bled out nearly 70% of his blood, everything flew into high speed.
The bleeding was so swift you could actually see arterial bleeding on the CT scan, which, unless bleeding is occurring very rapidly, doesn't show up generally.
He had a congenital horseshoe kidney, which is a fairly unusual but not abnormal formation of the kidney, where the two kidneys are connected at their lower ends, so it makes the shape of a horseshoe instead of two separate kidneys.
He pushed the horseshoe kidney back to my spinal column and ripped it in half on my spinal column. It's like a bomb going off really, really slow inside of you, filling you up until you burst.
Within a 45-minute period, he had a crazy drop in his blood counts. So from essentially normal to nearly undetectable. You worry about cognitive function, you worry about memory, you worry about just every day, is he gonna wake up and be able to function like a 12-year-old and brush his teeth and get dressed and remember how to do that?
From the time I arrived to the time we took him up to the operating room was probably less than 15 minutes. We knew right away that that's where we needed to go. What we do at surgery is we clean out all the blood, we clean out all the obviously devitalized or pieces of horseshoe kidney that are broken off and no longer viable, and we take laparotomy pads, which are basically like big towels, and we pack them in as tightly as we can in order to help control the bleeding.
After that operation, then he went to the intensive care unit, and he kept a breathing tube in place. And he was on a lot of pain medicines and sedation because we didn't want him to experience the discomfort of his abdomen.
When someone bleeds as much as he bled, and we have given so much blood to replace what's been lost, the body chemistries get out of whack, the blood clotting mechanisms get out of whack. That time in the ICU is time that we can get things more normalized.
We were able to return him to the operating room, to remove the packs which had been left in his abdomen to help stop the bleeding. We had to leave what's called a wound vac on his abdomen to actually leave him apart because the swelling was too great. And so his third trip to the operating room was to actually close his abdominal cavity. That's when the real recovery started. Both of his kidneys are functioning nicely. He's not having any intestinal problems. He's back on his regular diet, gaining weight, back to playing soccer.
Cade's back. He's a great, driven kid, an excellent athlete. We didn't really care if we got our athlete back. We wanted our son back, and we got that.
When you see how perfectly suited they are to kids with regard to medicine and their rehab, the attention to those details makes a huge difference. And I really don't think he would have lived if we had taken him to another hospital. I really don't.
That's what I love about this child is he's defied our odds. He's made us cry. He's made us smile. And that's what I love about Cade, and that's what I love about his parents.
We thank God that Children's is there because they saved our son's life.